keep saying, the future of this economy is the service sector.
Yeah.
We need to get more of those service sector listed, and then you can say, okay, the barometer of the Nigerian economy now is largely driven by what happens in the stock market.
Yeah.
Because now we don't seem to see that, because there's a disconnect when the big players of the economy are not listed. So the NGS need to go there and then get them enlightened, let them know the value, the gain that they need to get. Sell that product to them. It's a very wonderful product, and I'm sure they will buy into it.
You're welcome to the Economy and Politics Conversation. I'm Ottoabasi Abasiekong. This edition will discuss opportunities for new listings in the Nigerian capital markets. My guest for this conversation is Mr. Mukhtar Mohammed, a market analyst and CEO of Finance with Mukhtar. It's great to have you in the program. Happy New Year.
First time
visiting our studio.
Thank you. Your beautiful studio.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Let's begin with the developments around the Nigeria Exchange Group. I mean, late into last year, it achieved the 100 trillion naira market capitalization, which everybody has been anticipating and hoping that. So that's a major one. Even the president commended it. But we don't want them to rest on their house. What must they do to build on this and deepen the market and attract more listings as the preferred exchange in Africa?
You know what excites me about the 100 trillion, the Nigerian exchange? It was that it was largely driven by capital appreciation of companies that were listed on the exchange. Before now, when you see market cap, 100 trillion, you see that it was due to new listing, but we didn't see any new listing, but price appreciation drove it to that level, especially the recovery from top blue chip companies like Dangote, like MTN, like Seplat, even the banking sector. They contributed hugely to that. That's what excites me about it. Before now, you see listing. The index largely driven by new listing. Then again, I think it was good for the first time we saw a president being excited about the market, talking about the market. And you have to give it to him, because if there's any policy that have really hit the market, economic policy that really hit the market was largely his own economic policy have really been very favorable to the market. The removal of subsidy, the floating of the currency. Initially, we saw those shocks, especially from the consumer goods sector and also the telecom sector, because of those high FX losses. But after that, we saw those beautiful recovery from those stakes, and that was responsible for the 100 trillion. So he could take credit for that, definitely. But I think the market has really performed very well in 2025, and this was largely due to the economic policy and also the capital appreciation of most of these blue chip stocks. So that's what excites me about the 100 trillion.
What should we be looking at? Not just NGX alone, but other exchanges. We have the NASD, which also are pushing to attract listings that would deepen the market. We even have the commodities exchanges, especially the Lagos Commodities and Futures Exchange, trying to target sectors like solid minerals and agribusiness. So what should we be seeing these exchanges doing so that the market continues to unlock opportunities for the economy?
I think what people are saying to me about that, largely driven by what you just said, Dangote and fertilizer. I'm excited if you get Dangote and fertilizer listed in the market. But I'll be more excited if before Dangote comes into the market, we are seeing that 100 and something trillion. Then maybe the listing will drive it to those 200 trillion. And like I said, that means it was capital appreciation.
Yeah.
And by that capital appreciation, that means you see fundamentals that have really driven it there. So, but I know a lot of people are saying that because of the listing, which is still fine. But I will be more excited if the current listing can move to a certain level before we see the listing of Dangote. That would be more fundamentally stable. Like I said, I love the index when it's driven by capital appreciation, but listing. But when you talk the other exchange, how to attract listing, I think one, there's lack of knowledge and education on what some of these exchanges are wanting to do.
For them to enlighten.
They need to enlighten business, investor engagement, to say, okay, we have a commodity exchange. This is what we want to do. For a solid mineral company, he will be thinking of, oh, instead of me just there looking for fun, I can actually go to the commodity market and be listed and have fun from investors to continue my operation. So commodity, then the other solid mineral, commodity. This sometimes you just hear these people say these things only on paper. We have not seen that huge knowledge and move for listings, targeting some of these companies that are commodity trading companies, especially those in the informal sector. So I think they have a lot of work to do, but mostly they need to educate Nigerians to see the value why they should be listed. And then after that listing, they also will benefit from it because now they will have cheap funds rather than going to borrow from the bank. So all these are things that the exchange, the commodity exchange, need to push to go to these companies and let them see the value. I think they've not done enough.
So you're saying that NGX, the NASD, and the commodity exchanges, they need to do more investor engagement, roadshows, public enlightenment.
Yes, exactly. Even the NGS, will have problem with the NGS in terms of coming up with products.
Okay.
You see that people are still not very educated about it, because the only product that a lot of Nigerians know in terms of the exchange is the stock market. So they need to begin to tell Nigerians that there's ETE, ETF, where you can do. There are a lot of products that we have, and so, but that enlightenment, most people are investing in stock today because of the enlightenment they have. So we need to enlighten them. We need to push that enlightenment campaign to every local and crew of this country.
That reminds me, I attended a market event last year, and the Oni of Ife was saying that you need to enlighten the market. That's speaking to the angels and other market stakeholders. You need to go to the markets, informal sector, the market woman, the person on the streets, people that are in the informal sector. You have to find a way to connect to them to be part
of the market. You see, today Nigerians are not so excited. So the administration is not good because a lot of Nigerians are not in the stock market, where most of this administration policy have seen a positive impact. So they are not benefiting.
So there must be a way to connect, because the market, like
enlightenment.
One leader said, is the genuine way of making money.
Yeah, especially now that we have the market contributing about 50% to the GDP. We hopefully by the listing of Dangote, fertilizer and other, we'll begin seeing the market contribute about 70% of the GDP. So if a particular sector is contributing 70% of the GDP of a nation, then you need to be interested in that sector.
Yes, and that's even the goal that the Securities and Exchange Commission said for the Capital Market Master Plan 2.0. The capital market must be central to our economic growth. So let's look at ProShare. We in ProShare have made very strong advocacy that there is need to optimize public assets and enterprises. We have national assets like the Nigeria National Petroleum Corporation, the Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas Companies. There are real estates across, you go to, you see those estates, assets wasting away.
Federal Secretariat.
So Federal Secretariat and other assets like that. You need to bring them, understand and unlock their value, and some of them can be listed. And there are examples. Saudi Arabia, Brazil, they've seen their state oil company listed on the market. We've seen the impact. What must be done to scale this advocacy? Because we've seen the Bureau of Public Enterprise, Ministry of Finance Incorporated come to the market, but yet still we are trying to get traction. We want to see things happen, especially with the power sector that they said they'll bring some assets.
I have to commend ProShare for the work they are doing in terms of enlightening Nigeria and also financial literacy. They've been top notch. They are highly commendable.
Thank you for that. We'll continue on that.
Yeah. So when you talk about that, number one, you need to look at bureaucracy. Before now, we're looking at the Nigerian NNPC to be listed. Remember, we thought NNPC should be listed by now. So we'll begin to enjoy that, the national wealth.
Which have even been listed before Dangote.
You can imagine if you have NNPC, but you know what the bureaucracy is with NNPC, and the numbers are not very favorable. Largely, the numbers were driven by payment of subsidy. That is no more there. They have to come on with a new business value. I don't think they've gotten that for now. So definitely, that is why for other public assets, especially the power companies, I am looking for government taking their hands up generation. Instead of we having state government still being in that generation sector, they should do like what they did in distribution. And you will see that we will stop seeing all this national grid collapse, because the private sector will be able to invest in that infrastructure. The government does not have the money. And I keep saying it, globally now it's PPP, public-private partnership. That's what drives governance. So we cannot be an exemption. So we need to do something about that. And I think the government should wake up and do something about that. You talk about other assets that are lying fallow, and I mean it's disheartening when you see some of those assets that could be converted to cash cow both for government and then be able to enhance the life of Nigeria.
So that we'll stop going to Eurobond to borrow $2 billion when you can make over $50 billion.
I think it has to be a leader that have the political will to be able to do that, because again sometimes when I pass through there, it's an eyesore. It's very disappointing to see a legacy, a structure like that just lying fallow. The Federal Secretariat in Ikoyi, that is very disappointing.
That's a huge asset that can be listed and unlock value.
So what is the government doing about it? So, before now when he came, he was saying about, the president was talking about that once he gets to power, we will unlock all these assets at a point when we have challenges with revenue. We're thinking of some of these assets that will be sold and then generate more revenue. But, like I always say, when oil price is down, we are very creative. Immediately oil price just normalize.
It's like we go back to status quo. $60. You talked about political will. Does this president, from what you see, have that political will to push, just like he did with subsidy removal and, of course, the foreign exchange reforms, to say, okay, let's do this? Unlock the value?
I think Asiwaju is more of a politician than a statesman. So for now, I think he has the political goodwill of the politicians.
Yes.
It's now for him to even believe that that's what he really wants to do. Once he has that belief that that's what he wants to do, I don't doubt him that he will be able to do it. Like you just talk about the subsidy. These have been going on for years. Many administrations tried to do it. People were on the street, even including him when he was in the position. But when they had the courage. So he's very courageous in taking some bold decision. But now you have to look at, does he really want to do it?
And we also have a Minister of Finance that is a stockbroker, a chartered member. So we just have to continue advocacy and remind them that when you're on this side, you supported that, so keep pushing it.
The saying is that when they get to that side, it's always different.
I know, but you said bureaucracy, so what to do with that bureaucracy so that we unlock value for our assets. Now, what additional incentives do you think is important at this time? You've talked about this government's body language and reforms impacting the market. So what other fiscal incentives do we need to see happen that will encourage companies to go to the market, whether it's equities, the NGX is major there, the NASD, SMEs, various sectors going there, and even the commodities markets, exchanges?
I think, again, we still come back to education, letting them know that they can get cheap funding from the market. That for me is key. Once they can get those cheap funding, I think they are more satisfied. So for me, that is the key drive that they should be thinking of, to attract them, to make the incentive, rather than going to borrow from the financial sector. You can actually be able to do that. So I think for me, that is their key. That's the drive that we should do with them. So then again, the NGS also need to sell their product to them. You see, the NGS is now a PLC. So you need to go and sell their product to them. Let them know that this is what you can benefit in being listed. And then corporate governance is key, especially when you're a sector trying to attract foreign direct investment or foreign portfolio investment, like the power sector, where we still grappling with them having no funds. Can they be listed? That would get them doing the numbers good, and they can get foreign investors want to partner with them, want to invest. So those are part of the things that the exchange need to do to get new listing, especially big time players, people that are the future of this economy. I keep saying the future of this economy is the service sector. We need to get more of those service sector listed, and then you can say, okay, the barometer of the Nigerian economy now is largely driven by what happens in the stock market. Because now we don't seem to see that, because there's a disconnect when the big players of the economy are not listed. So the NGS need to go there and then get them enlightened, let them know the value, the gain that they need to get. Sell that product to them. It's a very wonderful product, and I'm sure they will buy into it.
Yeah, you talk about because if you look at the United States, the tech companies are the big drivers of the economy, and it's also reflecting in the NASDAQ or the NYSE.
Yeah.
So if Apple or Google or anybody has challenges, it affects the market.
Yeah.
So you need to see even also the tech companies in Nigeria come on board too and initiatives.
That's another thing, but you see some of the tech companies, Nigerians, the young setup, you see them being listed, fintechs, and they're listed in the New York Stock Exchange.
Yes.
But they're not listed
They need to come to the Nigerian market, yes.
But and they make so much, they make most of the money,
Yeah.
So we need to look at that. Is it the issue of corporate governance? The NGS need to work on that.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. Some people even say that the president can even show that demonstration going to the exchange and also being part like he did in New York exchange and others. I mean,
when he goes there, he's trying to look for investors.
Yes, I know. But when you come to Nigeria, you want to remind everybody that
the market is very important. This is the best, very
important.
Market. Yeah.
But in 2 minutes, policy. Are there additional policies that this government can bring on board that will also impact the market positively?
Policy would have been tax rebate, tax deferrals.
This tax act, is it really
good? But it's not going to work because the government is looking for revenue. I think that would have been one of those policies that the government would drive. If you are listed in the exchange for the sake of corporate government for equal distribution of wealth, you get X, Y amount of tax rebate. That will not happen. Then again, you need to know that, like I said, listed in the exchange will attract inflow from foreign direct investors. So those are part of the policy that government should come out that will allow foreign portfolio or direct investors want to invest in some of these companies.
What's your take on the recapitalization exercise? You know, it's cut across now all the financial service sector. It's quite the massive. In short, people are like with the capital market operators now, so they have their own requirements. We've seen in pension, banking, and all. Banking will wrap up by first quarter. How does this play out in terms of the impact you have on operators and the whole financial system?
I think it's fantastic because you want to deepen the market. We want to play the market. We want to have a $1 trillion economy. I think that's the whole idea of this recapitalization, so that they will be able to handle high ticketing deals rather than sharing it with international people. Before I came on air, I was just looking at the pool of about 250 million for ARA there was Standard Bank. So we need to begin to see Nigerian bank begin to pull such high ticketing deals. And that can only come through recapitalization. For the stockbroking firm, I think also that is good, so that we begin to see big players in the market that can determine the direction of the market rather than waiting for foreign portfolio investors to come in. The insurance sector, globally, insurance sector is bigger than the banking sector. In countries like America, you see insurance buying a bank. And even the stockbroking firm. Don't forget that FCMB came out from a stockbroking firm. So those are part of the things that we need to see. But in doing that, they need to come with recapitalization and they need to be open to corporate governance. Those are key. So I'm a fan of what we are seeing. Even if some people say as a broker, you don't need 100 million, you don't need 200 billion, you don't need 4 billion. Yes, you might not need that kind of amount, but to deepen the market, to take opportunity that we are being, rather than us complaining that the foreigners are taking it, you have to improve your capital. And I think I totally agree with the current situation of recapitalization of both the stockbroking firm, the banking sector, and the insurance sector, and also the pension firm.
Yes. Very interesting conversation with you, Mr. Mukhtar Mohammed, the market analyst and the CEO of Finance with Mukhtar. A very key one is the need for the exchanges, the market exchanges to enhance their enlightenment programs, do more roadshows, make market and even the populace know what they are doing and the opportunities for listing. And of course, the need for policy to continue to encourage listings to the market. And in that regard, our president has to show that political will to unlock value from our national assets so that we can see some of these assets listed in the market and we have revenue, we have opportunity to attract investments and move the economy forward. And most importantly, recapitalization is not bad. It's good to boost these key financial sectors. We'll keep tracking it. And also thank you for the accolades for ProShare. We'll continue to drive advocacy and ensure that the market gets the right information to make the best decision in terms of investment. But thank you once again for this conversation on opportunities for new listings in the Nigerian capital market. We hope that by the end of this year, we should see some very big ticket listings that will deepen the market so that Nigerians can come on board and create wealth. Legitimately to the capital markets.
That's what the stock
market is. Thank you once again for the time. To our viewers, if you want to get further insights on this conversation, visit the ProShare website displayed on the screen and our social media platforms to engage further. To become your way again, enrich yourself with the knowledge of socioeconomic developments around you. It is a wise thing to do. I'm Ottoabasi Abasiekong. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.